So imagine this, it's late at night and everyone in the house is sound asleep when you're suddenly woken up by the sound of glass shattering. You start to hear unfamiliar voices through the walls, and as your heart begins to race through your chest and you start to realize what is happening, my question to you is, what firearm do you keep nearby to assess a situation like this? I keep a Glock 19 as my bedside weapon. And before I explain why I've chosen to go with a handgun as my main home defense weapon, I want to first go over the attachments and everything I've done to it that I believe has all played a huge role in making this my go-to choice. Starting off with the red dot, I am running a Holosun 407C. Now, I understand that in a home defense situation, you're most likely not going to be shooting further than 10 to maybe 15 yards, but in that rare case I need to go past that, I am confident with the training I put behind this dot to be able to do so. Next I want to talk about are the suppressor iron sights. If you saw one of my recent shorts that I made, I talk about why I don't recommend a red dot till you become decently accurate with iron sights. To me, this means being able to hit targets consistently and confidently up to 5, 10, 15, and possibly 30 yards depending on the handgun before slapping on a red dot. The reason behind this is because, that sounds so badass. The reason behind this is because, as we know, technology can fail. In that rare case you go, or that I go and I reach for my gun and I realize that my dot is gone, either because the batteries died or the dot just isn't working for some reason, I at least know I always have my iron sights to fall back on. Okay, this is an Apex trigger, and I know some people believe in leaving the trigger alone to avoid reliability issues, which I understand why people say things like this, especially for a CCW, or in this case a home defense weapon, where you want to be certain that the weapon you draw or pick up is going to work no matter what. But here's the thing, me personally, when I change or I add something differently than the factory one, I always, and I mean always, give it a beating. So if you ask me personally on my opinion on changing the trigger on a gun you're planning to carry or use as a home defense weapon, I am a huge believer in making your weapon work best for you, and if a different trigger improves your comfort, accuracy, and overall confidence with your firearm, and you've tested it thoroughly, then I believe it's worth the upgrade. Okay, light. The light that I went with is a TLR 7X, and if I'm not mistaken, offers around 500 lumens, which for my home works perfect and is enough light that can be used to reflect off the ground and walls in order to identify people without directly having to aim at them. And this is important because not every home break-in means it's a direct threat where lethal force needs to be used. Incidents, for example, like a drunk person, mistaking your home for their own and they accidentally walk in, or maybe a situation where, say, a family member or a roommate forgets to notify you that they'll be coming home late. For reasons like this, it's important to have a light that is bright enough where you can identify who they are without having to aim a firearm directly at them. So grip. When it comes to handguns, is a huge factor when focusing on things like accuracy, recoil control. So I do a little bit of stippling right here where my thumbs rest. I make it with the intent to give me more of an aggressive texture, which for me helps keep my thumbs firmly pressed against my firearm without them slipping. And keep in mind, all these attachments and work that I do to my firearm are solely based on my hands. I don't like this, the flat, smooth texture that a lot of handguns come with, and stippling my handguns personally helps me have a way better grip. Now for the rest of the frame, I just go with some tactical tape. Here I don't really care as much about having a really aggressive texture to grip onto. I just need something to give me enough grip to be able to handle my firearm with wet, or worst comes to worst, bloody hands. And tactical tape for me offers that without it being too bulky and without it coming off after like a couple weeks of using it. Okay, now this is one of those things you don't really think you need it till you try it, and it's a double undercut. This hands down gotta be one of the best upgrades I've done to my Glock. The grip undercut is made to get a higher grip to help better control things like muzzle rise and recoil, while the trigger guard undercut is more so as a comfort for your index finger. If done correctly, it prevents the trigger guard from pressing against your finger, which over time can cause things like Glock knuckle. And like I said, this is one of those things you have to try it out for yourself to see whether you like it or not, and whether you actually feel the difference in comfort and overall your shooting experience. Just make sure if you plan to do it yourself to take your time and don't get carried away like some people. And the last upgrade being the mag release. The one I have right now, all this is just a little bit more extended than the factory one. For me, this is where trial and error played a huge role in picking the right mag release for me, because I've tried a couple that I really liked and made it extremely easy to hit the mag release, but when running them through the beating test, they did not pass. I would have the issue when going to draw from concealment or from the hip. When my left paw would come together to form grip, I would hit the mag release, leaving me with one in the chamber and no mag. So that's why it's important to be aggressive when testing any new upgrades you install before calling it a day, because any new little upgrade without proper testing could potentially put your life or the people that depend on you for safety in serious danger. Now that's about everything I've done to my Glock 19. Now to the question, why is this my main firearm I am choosing as my home defense weapon? Now, aside from the confidence I've been able to build over the past years with training and being able to adjust every single part to my liking, things like being able to maneuver around a home, especially the one I live in, having a firearm that is compact and easy to handle around tight spaces helps me avoid the difficulties and limitations that come with larger firearms like, say, a rifle or a shotgun. A handgun of this size personally makes my life much easier if I ever had to do some CQB inside my own home. Another reason which was really important to me was the issue of over-penetration. Since I live with family, having the right gun that was strong enough to take down a threat but also not over-penetrate and go through drywall and potentially hit one of my family members was crucial when picking my home defense weapon. Especially if we're talking about shooting in close quarters, this handgun matched with the right self-defense ammo for me just made perfect sense. So I keep both magazines, the one inside my handgun and the spare one, loaded with hollow points to help reduce as much penetration as possible. Now those are all my personal reasons why I chose a handgun over, say, something like a rifle or a shotgun. Now don't get me wrong, I have other guns that are loaded and ready to go for different situations. Like, for example, if we're talking about a purge situation where we have a group of violent people in front of the house who look like they're ready to cause some serious harm to me or my family, and I have time, then yeah, I'm grabbing an AR-15, slapping a plate carrier, and slaying every man or woman who dares step through that door. Look, point is, yes, I have other firearms that are loaded and ready to go. My handgun is just a primary I can quickly grab that I know has everything that I need to assess the situation like a break-in. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you want to get in contact with me or see some of the drills that I do, you can check me out on Instagram at ShadowTheWicked. Other than that, guys, hope you have a good weekend. Stay safe and God bless.